Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, let me begin by thanking all the members who have contributed to this debate since yesterday morning when it began on the State of the Nation address by His Excellency the President, and more so even those who were very resilient up to 9 p.m. last evening, and many others who came very early today morning to be able to contribute. Honorable Speaker, I don't want to say much in response because members basically have reiterated what His Excellency the President said in his address to the nation. And as we said, and as many members have said in their contributions, the state of the nation, as the President said, is resilient. And that resilience has been exhibited by the emerging growth of our nation's economy, right from a time, Honorable Speaker, when the dollar was trading at 162 shillings. Honorable Speaker, I did hear the Deputy Leader of Minority yesterday asking whether there is indeed an appreciation of the shilling. And I know Robert Mbui is not an economic student. He may not understand many of these things. But when the shilling appreciates from 162 to 129, that is something you cannot deny, Honorable Speaker. And I heard him say that at the time this administration took over the reins of leadership, the dollar was trading at 125. Fact. But it was trading at a rate of 125 in the backdrop of very major economic setbacks. With a devastating drought, you remember at the time, Honorable Speaker, there was no fuel in the country. Kenyans may have forgotten that they had to queue with jerry cans to be able to get fuel. But when the G2G procurement process of fuel came into being, Honorable Speaker, this administration was able to stabilize not just the pricing of fuel and the price of our foreign exchange reserves, our foreign exchange rates, but also to ensure there is availability of fuel. Without naming names, Honorable Speaker, because they are friendly countries, many of our neighbors today, people are still queuing to get fuel. They do not have fuel. But in our country, we have fuel, and fuel whose prices have been coming down almost every other month for the last few months, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the state of the economy, when it said it's resilient in terms of food security, that again speaks for itself. As I said, Honorable Speaker, in moving, and as the President did enumerate in his address to the nation, we were buying unga at the price of almost 262 shillings in September.
280.
280 for some brands. Actually, there's a brand that was retailing at 287.
Yes.
Today, the same brands are at an average of 120, 110, and I've even seen some brands going for as low as 90 shillings. And if indeed the demonstrations that the Honorable Robert Mbui, my good friend, was involved in then, during the Unga and Sufuria movement, were about the price of Unga, then my good friend Robert Mbui cannot claim that there have not been positive changes. But that is not to mean, Honorable Speaker, that we don't have room for improvement. We still have got a long walk to walk. And all we call upon is focus, and I'm glad that the President and his administration are focused in walking that long journey to bring back our economy to where it ought to be. And I am very confident, Honorable Speaker, that we shall be able to work together. As I said, for us in the legislature, ours is to support the administration that is in power today with legislative interventions that will help them realize and anchor economic policies through legislation that will help them realize the aspirations of the Kenyan people and all the promises that we all made to the Kenyan people. And it does not matter whether you are in the minority or the majority, whether you support William Ruto as a president or not. If you love your country, if you are patriotic enough, Honorable Speaker, you must stand out to be counted in support of those policies that will anchor good legislation that will help us to achieve what we all promised the people of Kenya. And I say that, Honorable Speaker, because aware that we are all from different political parties. There are those that support this administration. There are those that do not. In the minority, like I did hear the Honorable Mbui speak about these issues yesterday. But whether you support this administration or not, Honorable Speaker, you represent people of Kenya. And the people you represent, you made certain promises and pledges to them. And they elected you on the basis of those things that you promised them. Honorable Speaker, I am glad that the President remains focused. Even with all the negativity that has been there, I am glad President William Ruto has shut his eyes and ears to the negativity. And as much as he told us that one of our core responsibilities as leaders is to listen, you listen, but do not get distracted. Remain focused on what you want to achieve for the greater good of the people of Kenya and our nation. Honorable Speaker, even for us as legislators, let us remain focused. We were elected because the people in our constituencies believed and they knew that you know better, among us the many other people you competed with. Your time to show the people of Kenya that you know better and they never made a mistake in electing you in your constituency is by making sure you offer leadership. Offering leadership does not always mean you doing what is popular. What is popular, Honorable Speaker, I've said before, may not necessarily be right. When we tend to act out of political expediency and play into the gallery, we may be doing all the wrong things. But when you do what is right, time will vindicate you. And I am confident, Honorable Speaker, time will vindicate this administration, the Kenya Kwanza administration. Time will vindicate the President. That those who talk about Ruto and lies will know there is nothing about lies with President William Ruto. That when he said in Swahili, tutawainua wale walioko mavumbini, wakule meza moja na wafalme, that indeed today, Honorable Speaker, I have listened to Honorable Lenguris saying that she has been a beneficiary of the Taifa Care under the Social Health Insurance Fund. I have seen men and women who are boda riders, mamambogas, also testify and post online how they have benefited, like the Honorable Pauline Lenguris from Taifa Care. If we have a program for medical care, universal health coverage, that is taking care of Honorable Pauline Lenguris, a member of parliament, the same way it takes care of mamamboga and the boda person, then there cannot be lies about that, Honorable Speaker. Therefore, let me conclude by saying, Honorable Speaker, since I see now we are good. I was taking some time, Honorable Speaker, for the obvious. And I see now we are good. Honorable Speaker, let me conclude by saying, as the President said, as leaders, let us continue listening to our people. Let us reaffirm the resilience of our nation and remain focused to ensure, Honorable Speaker, that we succeed. Because as the President said, Honorable Speaker, and I know this has rubbed some people the wrong way. Honorable Speaker, on a light note, when the President said here that failure is not an option, I was elected, Honorable Speaker, and I tweeted and posted and reposted it. And I saw many people online bashing me, asking, how many times are you going to post? And Honorable Speaker, I would repost it again to rub them the wrong way, because I believe truly that failure is not an option, and nobody should ever pray that this nation fails. If we are speaking to our national values, part of those national values is patriotism. And we have been told before that patriotism, or rather praying or hoping that your president or your nation fails, is the height of being unpatriotic. Let us be patriotic Kenyans in line with our national values, and all in one accord say that failure is not an option, and failure cannot and will never be an option for this administration. With that, I beg to reply. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable members, will now put the question that pursuant to the provision of Standing Order 24-6, the thanks of this House be recorded for the exposition of public policy contained in the address of His Excellency the President delivered in Parliament on Thursday, 21st November 2024, and further that this House notes the following reports submitted by His Excellency the President in fulfillment of the provisions of Article 132(1)(c) and 247 of the Constitution